Welcome to Merriam's Online Academy. Today we're going to go over my pro tips on how to play What a Wonderful World. And make sure you check out my performance video and my breakdown of this piece. So let's get started. Alright, so pro tip number 1, always voice the right hand over the left hand. When you're playing a piece of music that was originally for a singer, you always want to make sure that the melody or the part that the singer sang is the loudest part. So in our piece, we have this is a piano vocal, so we see 3 staves actually. In the first staff, this is the vocal line. Typically we ignore it, and we'll still continue to ignore it, but it's good to see for comparison kind of what in our score is the same as that vocal line. So we've got all of this, all of our right hand is the same. So what we want to do then is we make our right hand louder than our left hand, even though our left hand's playing more notes, and that's where the challenge is. Let's try it. And so you can hear right away that my right hand is very easy to distinguish. You can totally hear even the words. If you know the words, you can understand what I'm playing. And our left hand is just kind of more like a sound effect. And the way to do this is you just basically have to barely play. Barely press the keys down, rock your hand back and forth, and then your right hand has to feel a little bit more heavy. Pro tip number 2, shape dynamically. Now, shaping dynamically basically means follow the louds and the softs in the piece. And if there aren't enough of them to make the piece interesting, add your own. So you can see in our piece, we start with a mezzo forte and we get nothing. For 1 page, 2 pages, we get a little tiny bit of a crescendo decrescendo right there. 3 pages, still mezzo forte. Oh, right here, we have a forte. So in my books, that's pretty boring. What I want to do then is I want to come up with places that I can add dynamics or shape it a little more to make it more interesting. So yes, maybe I start this piece kind of at a regular volume, kind of medium volume. And then when I get to somewhere where I think the harmony is kind of neat, that's where I'm going to maybe crescendo. So for me, I like this bar. I like to crescendo here and then go all the way through, kind of crescendo, crescendo, and then decrescendo through the What a Wonderful World part. I'll show you what I mean. I'm not going to start from the very beginning. I'm going to start from I See Them Bloom for Me and You right here. And you can see I got louder and then I got softer. And you can find places all over in this piece. In fact, there's almost the exact same place right here. And then you can decrescendo through that last line. On this page, I like to get louder when we get to these triplets. So kind of after People Going By, I See Friends, because we have these left-hand octaves. So I'm going to put a forte there. And I'm going to start to show you from right here. You can see right at the end too, I chose to do a decrescendo right before the last page. Another thing to note is in this section that I just played, there are lots of repeated notes. And when we play those, what we can do is we can shape those, and to shape it, you do kind of a little subito piano, and then right away crescendo back to your original dynamic. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to start from how do you do right here. And that just adds a little bit of shape to your repeated notes. It's a really good idea to shape your music with louds and softs and all sorts of dynamics because it gives your music interest and depth in a way that just playing it all the same volume might not give. Pro tip number 3, be completely comfortable with 2 against 3 rhythms. Now, I mentioned the 2 against 3 rhythms in my breakdown video, which you can go check out. But here we'll do a little quick review. 2 against 3 basically means we have a beat division that is in 2. So it could be 2 eighth notes, for instance, 1 and. Or you can have triplets, which is when the beat is divided into 3, 1 and da. And so in this piece in particular, we have tons of 2 against 3 when you're playing them at the same time. Really good example is this bar right here. So you have the triplet in the left hand, and you have the duple or the eighth notes in the right hand. So what we would do, this takes a little bit of coordination. You play the triplet and then the duple at the same time. Now this means that the notes won't actually be playing at the same time. So it will sound like this. And the coordination is basically the hands play together, the left hand plays, the right hand plays, the left hand plays. Do that a little faster so you can see the flow. And all of this piece is littered practically with 2 against 3. So you can go through, you can practice all of these 2 against 3s, and when you're super solid, they'll just start to flow really naturally, and that's really what we want in this piece. Because what 2 against 3 does is it gives this idea of floating, because the notes that we're playing don't actually really fit together, and so we have this idea of just not being quite solid all the way through, and that gives a really neat idea and effect to our music. So you want to be really well practiced in these 2 against 3, and that will give you the effect that you're looking for. Pro tip number 4, feel free to embellish or simplify the music. The very nice thing about playing these pop tunes is that we have the sheet music, but it isn't quite so rigid as maybe something like a piece by Mozart or by Beethoven, where we're expected to play all the notes exactly as they're written with exactly the dynamics, and we're judged on how well we interpret the piece or play exactly what we're supposed to play. In pop music, we get to be a little more flexible. So when you're looking at this piece of music, you might be saying to yourself, this is kind of hard, and I'm not sure if I can do all this yet, or maybe I don't want to spend all the time to practice all of this. So what you can do is you can simplify. A really great example is when you get to the second page. Now the second page is very much like the first page, but we've added some notes. So if maybe you don't want to add those notes, you can just play it exactly like you did the first page. So you would take all these out. You could cross them out, or you can just remember and play the top note of each chord. So I can show you what it should sound like, and then I'll show you what it would sound like if we simplify. Starting from here. And then if you simplify it, you take out all of the notes in the right hand except for the top note. And you still have a really nice piece. The other way that you can sort of change or adapt this piece is to actually do the opposite of simplifying. Maybe you have a little more experience under your belt and you find that this piece just isn't quite doing enough of impressive stuff for you. So you want to bring your own flair to the music. You are absolutely allowed to do that, and it can also be a really neat thing to do because it makes the music more personal. So when I was thinking about embellishing this, I liked the idea of changing octaves. So this is what I decided to do. I'm going to start from the same place, but this time instead of simplifying, I'm going to embellish. So adding those extra octaves just gives the piece just a little more interest, and you can kind of show off your mastery of more of the keyboard. And you don't only have to do it on this page, you have all sorts of options even when you do this climax over here on page 3. Or I love to end this piece an octave higher. So I'll show you just what I would do in the last part. I hope you enjoyed my pro tips. Make sure to watch my other videos on What a Wonderful World. I have a performance video and a breakdown video. Thanks for watching.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching Merriam's Online Academy. Check back here for more videos and don't forget to subscribe below.